Drawing characters is always such a sweet process to me, so why not base it off of that? So hi everyone, I'm Ward and welcome to my channel Wardrawsalot, and this week we're going to be making an OC out of a dessert. This dessert is going to be pumpkin pie. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I hate pie. I'm somebody who has tried pie so many times in so many different flavors, and I don't know, it never sticks with me, you know? Like, I don't like pie, I don't know what it is. I think the only pie I've ever actually kinda liked was the chocolate pudding pie, but let's be real, that's just like chocolate pudding on a graham cracker. It's not no pie. Pie's got like the crust, the filling, and it's way more of an extensive process. I don't know, I'm just a chocolate person. Pie and desserts and sweets, not so much. Chocolate, that's my weakness. But besides that point, let's talk about pumpkin pie for a second here. So believe it or not, pumpkin pie can be eaten as a sweet or a savory item with food. I've seen people eat it with like an actual meal compared to on its own as a dessert. This is kind of directly connected to what kind of pumpkin you use for your pumpkin pie. Usually when people do make a sweet pumpkin pie, they use something called sugar pumpkins, which are smaller, sweeter, and less fibrous, so I'm guessing it's just easier to cook in general, compared to like a regular pumpkin, which is the complete opposite of a sugar pumpkin. I'm guessing it is much more fibrous, they're larger, and they're not nearly as sweet, so depending on which one you use as your filling for your pumpkin pie is the flavor you're gonna get and how you're gonna eat that pie. Of course, the ingredients for pumpkin pie mostly consist of a pie shell or pie dough, pumpkin, eggs, condensed milk, sugar, cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, cloves, and allspice. So when I was reading all those lists of ingredients, it definitely reminded me of gingerbread men, because I did one on gingerbread men last year, and very much like for the pumpkin pie, I list off the ingredients so I know what I'm going to be kind of considering for the character themselves, their personality, or what they look like. And I don't like gingerbread men either, so what I've concluded from both of these is I don't like very cinnamony, nutmeggy, allspicy kind of sweets. I guess it's because on a regular I use like allspice, for example, on a regular food, so having it in a sweet really throws me off. So I'm good there, pal. Now let's talk about the colors that are usually associated with pumpkin pie. So of course the main color of pumpkin pie is going to be orange because pumpkins are orange, and then that ultimately means that the filling is orange, so that's going to be the main color that we see here. But when I looked up online pictures of pumpkin pie, it gave me really a wide variation between really orange pumpkin pie filling versus kind of brown pumpkin pie filling, and I wondered why that was. And as I was kind of researching, it looked like that depending on if you make the pie like pumpkin pie fresh, like straight from a pumpkin and mix everything together, versus getting it from a can like a puree, it's going to make a difference in the color. And I also think that probably you using the different spices has like a play in it. Like if you put in a lot of cinnamon, nutmeg, and allspice, which are darker in color, they're going to change the color of the pumpkin pie filling either from the orangey to a light brown to a dark brown, depending on what you like to use the most in your pie filling, of course. And when looking at these photos, a lot of the time you can see that on the edges of the pumpkin pie, they're raised a little bit and they're a little bit darker compared to the center of the pumpkin pie, which is usually lighter. So I made sure when I was coloring that in to kind of make sure I put that in there so it could kind of read off more like it was like a baked pie instead of one that's kind of lacking color, because usually, especially when it comes to cooking or baking, you associate a darker color with something that is done cooking. So if I had left the pie kind of light, it would have looked like a raw pumpkin pie, and I figure nobody wants to eat that. I also went ahead and made the inside of the pie a little darker just to kind of give a difference between the top and the inside of the filling, which I figure would look a little different anyway. I also made sure to brown up the crusts on the outside so it does look cooked like I said earlier, and I also went back in and gave it some highlights in the right spots because the entirety of the crust wouldn't be just completely toasted, it would have some lighter spots and darker spots. And I wanted it to kind of have a more realistic feel to it, so I went with my base marker colors first, and then went on top with color pencil, and went back and forth with like a bunch of colors until I was happy with how the pie looked. So after learning about pumpkin pie, drawing it and coloring it in, I figured that this character was the best way to represent pumpkin pie. one that looks just sweet enough and has definitely the color palette and how I kind of interpreted the pumpkin pie onto this character. What I usually do whenever I make an OC out of a dessert is I take the exact same colors that I used for the dessert and then use it on the character to kind of make it a little bit more synonymous with each other, so it definitely looks like it came from, I guess, my interpretation of the dessert. So for the character's skin tone, I went with something on a little bit more brown side just because it makes sense. I'm not going to do a character with orange skin unless I want a character that's a little bit more ethereal or alien-like or fantasy, but that wasn't my goal here. So I went with a brown skin tone, like a medium brown skin tone, and from there I went ahead and did a darker brown hair color so it could kind of go along with everything. I thought at first maybe some orange hair, but then I thought that would be too much because I really wanted the orange shirt to be kind of the center of the color of everything. So to help mute out a little bit more of the colors and disperse them evenly, I did a darker brown hair color, which again ties back into the different pumpkin pies of different colors, so this one would definitely tie in with the darker browns. And from there I went ahead and did a layered shirt, so on the bottom you have almost like a tan or beige yellowish turtleneck, which kind of represents the crust that the pumpkin pie filling is in, and then on top of the filling, on top of the crust, sorry, would be the orange filling. So that's why I did an orange shirt on top of the crust on top of the crust undershirt. Sorry, that was funny to me because for some reason it was really hard to keep up in my head with everything, so I was kind of getting lost in between what I was saying, but I think you guys got the point. For the pants, I decided to do a brown color that was of course different enough from the skin tone and the hair color to kind of just give it like a brown baggy pants look instead of a tight pants look. And if I had the room, which I never do because I draw so large, I would have given him like an orange kind of shoes to kind of help tie in a little bit more orange back up to the front. But I also managed to tie in more orange with the lip color and the eye color. It honestly looks really good on the lip color. I was afraid it was going to look a little weird, but I think the orange played out very nicely, especially later when I go in with like a white highlight. It kind of looks like an orange gloss, and I think orange gloss is beautiful, especially if you have like a medium to darker skin tone. I think orange gloss looks absolutely fantastic on your skin like that. And it just fits so well here because it's a very warm tone altogether. I made sure to kind of keep that very warm. And then when it came to accessories, I made sure they were a little cool. And the reason why I did that is because even though we got the pumpkin pie and everything, it's baked on a pan. So I wanted to bring back the pan into the drawing just so we can like have that there as an extra element of the character. So yeah, that's why he's got a good amount of cool toned or silver toned jewelry on him. One thing I was glad that I didn't do was give the pumpkin pie extra additives in there because I kind of just wanted the pumpkin pie to speak for itself, because I saw a lot of photos where people would put whipped cream on top or walnuts as like little extras for it, but I kind of wanted to make sure I was working with just the bare dessert itself, you know what I mean? Sometimes when you have those little extra additives, it kind of loses focus on the main idea of what you're trying to do, and the main idea for me was, of course, the star of the show, which is the pie itself. Oh, and complete side note, I didn't end up drawing this character massive like I always do, because I was like, you know what, we gotta change it up, give a different body shape in, and I drew the body shape and I was so happy, guys, you have no idea, and I'm putting it up on the screen, obviously, so you see what it is, and I immediately was like, no, I was like, what was the point? Because I was so upset, because I really like showing the body whenever I draw. That's why I like drawing tight clothes or showing like of the body clothes, or revealing, there we go, that's a better word than showing of the body, jeez, the fucking wheeze. So I really like drawing revealing clothes on the characters, really tight clothes. So when I did this, which was the exact opposite of what I usually do, it truly broke my heart, especially because I really liked the body that I drew. So I truly sat there crying and screaming in disappointment that I couldn't show it off. but the character design calls for the character design, so I just had to, of course, suck it up and move on with my life. For the little background elements, I decided to go around with the word pumpkin around the character, just because I figured that would be like his nickname or something, and you know, it would be just like a sweet little nickname for him. I never come up with names for my characters unless they're like permanent in my head universe, so they usually just kind of exist with no name and I just call them my OC. So for now, here's Pumpkin, and ultimately I think he came out fantastic. I think he definitely looks like a visualization of pumpkin pie to me. What do you guys think? Does he look like that, or how would you have done it differently than I did? So yeah, thanks for watching, and remember, I love you. Bye!